How to build AI agents with Strands with presenter Du'An Lightfoot. Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. We are live this evening, V Brownbag in the house, and we have an old friend. Du'An, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, what's up, Chris? What's up, Benny? Hey, Shao. Hey, everybody.
Hello.
World.
Tonight we are at full strength. We have the entire co-host team, Shala, Damien. Hi, how are y'all doing?
Hello.
Shala, you can go first.
Yeah.
Okay. I went to New York for the first time last week. I know that sounds ridiculous, but whatever.
That blew my mind. For the first time in New York City, as well traveled as you are, you went to Korea last year, and like you had not yet been to New York. So
Gone to Russia,
right?
But
Wow. Nice.
I don't know. I haven't traveled the U.S. that much. I go away.
You know what? Fair, honest. And Du'An, I looked at your LinkedIn profile, and you are no longer a developer advocate at AWS. You are an AI engineer. What? One, congratulations. Two, what does that mean? And three, when did that happen?
So I'm still a developer advocate, and I build things, right? So my team is focused on agentic AI specifically. So for the last, I would say 7 months, 8 months, all I've been doing is really focusing on agents. Really, since last year, I was taking a model and doing function and tool calling and kind of wrapping these different processes and systems together. But then we started having Lane Graph and all these Crew AI frameworks come out to really give you that agentic functionality. And I just been kind of all in on that. And now, I just build things and I have a lot of fun.
Well, that's awesome, because the last time you were on the show, you had just started getting going with it. You were really hungry to learn, and you were like, "Hey, let me on the show. I want to talk about some of the new stuff that we're doing at AWS." So you've really come full circle on this now.
Yeah. So what was that? March? In March, I think I was on the show, and I think I presented on QCLI. We built the static site, allowed Q to do that, and kind of vibe coded. Right, that was the thing back then. And so when we talk about agents, the story has kind of shifted from, okay, we're using these tools that are coming out like Cloud Code, Cursor, QCLI, Kiro. The list just keeps going on of tools that have agentic, capabilities. It's really progressed, but now we have these frameworks that kind of leverage builders to build these tools. And you'll be surprised, like in a few lines of code, and I'll show you to where you could take, let's say, something like Strands, what we're going to talk about, and have your own Cursor, or not, I would say more like a Cloud Code type experience.
Awesome. So before we get into it, Shala, it's been a minute since you've been on, and right before the show started, you said that you were still playing with AI and you were still doing things. So has anything changed since? I mean, have you unleashed something new? Because you're always playing with all the latest and greatest stuff.
So what I was gonna say, I did just do a fun recording with someone, and we were chit chatting, having a discussion, and out of that discussion, a question came up, does AI owe us humans anything? And we were like trying to think through that. And so I was like, you know what, let's pull up ChatGPT and see what it has to say. Oh boy, it was very interesting. First off, it just instantly said no. And then it went through this whole elaborate story about some stuff about, its purpose of why it was created and why the humans created it, and because of that it chooses to care about us. I was like, bro.
Wow. Well, Sam Altman had something to do with it, so ChatGPT will have daddy issues.
Yes, serious daddy issues. Yeah, so I actually, this is going to be a huge surprise. I actually just recently started paying for the Claude subscription, and installed the Claude CLI and started playing with the integrations within VS Code, because a couple of the other heroes now were talking about some side projects that they were working on, and to a person they were saying, oh, you got to get your hands into this. So that's what I've been playing with. Before we get into the presentation, Damien, are you doing anything different with agentic stuff? I know that you were playing with the back end of the V Brown Bag video processing system that we use. Did you cheat and use AI for that?
No. Well, yes. I mean, I didn't like full on like do a straight up Du'An and just vibe code the hell out of it like from nothing. Although that is fun. But no, I had back when I was writing it, I had a Copilot, help me with stuff just because I was rusty with PowerShell. Right? It's like, how do I do this thing again? Because it's all written in PowerShell. But yeah, I would say probably my primary use of AI has just been with Perplexity. Like the ability to ask a detailed question is not something that a search engine could do before, right? I can say, like, for example, and this is something that I ask all the time, since I work a lot within Ubuntu Linux in my day job. Quite often I'm like, on Ubuntu Linux, how do I do this thing? How do I do that thing, right? That I probably learned 25 years ago and then forgot. So most of my AI use has just been like day-to-day, like helper, Yeah. I was writing a kind of a business case this evening, and I had Gemini in our Google Workspace, I was like, review this. This is kind of how I want this structured. Did I meet that? Is the readability good? Like, am I making a clear point? And so, yeah, that's been my primary experiences with AI lately. So probably nothing nearly as fun as Du'An's here to amaze us about.
Awesome.
I got a question though, Chris.
Sure.
You said you started with Cloud Code. You got a subscription. What do you think? What are you going to build? What intrigued you to go ahead and dive in and embrace the AI?
So I mean, I've been embracing it. I had not paid for it in the past. The $20 a month was, I have so many subscriptions. I was like, really, another $20 a month? Come on, I'm getting nickel and dimed. I got into the projects aspect of Cloud Code, and so I dipped my toe into that. I started creating like these. Shala gave me this idea about creating different coaches inside of different projects. So like I have a social media coach, like how to like optimize social media presence. And then I have another like career coach, like me as the developer advocate manager for HashiCorp. Like what's my next step? What are the things I need to be looking at? What are the things I need to be learning? Yeah. So I've created several different coaches for like the different flavor. I even created a coach for leatherworking. So I'm getting into the hobby of leatherworking, and so I made a little thing like that just to teach me like some of the just different knowledge tutor things. And I immediately ran out of tokens on the free tier, both on ChatGPT and on Claude. So I was like, okay, fine. So that's ultimately what led me to pay the because I was starting to see the value in it for the $20 a month.
Yeah. Leatherworking, huh? Are you going to be like making belts and stuff?
Okay, so I was yes, but I've been watching this show on the BBC called The Repair Shop, and it is like a balm on the soul. It is we watch this to go to sleep at night. It makes me so happy. It's the show called The Repair Shop. It's these master craftsmen that fix these like family heirlooms that these people bring into this like old repair shop in Britain. It's amazing. It is absolutely like watching a couple of episodes, you will never like leave with a dry eye because there are like some heart-wrenching, like good, sad story, like happy stories that make you cry. And one of the repair people is a master leather worker named Susie. And I'm like, what she does is amazing. And I'm like, I want to learn how to do that. And so it's literally just like, I watched that and I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm going to pick up a new hobby. This is something I want to try. It's something I can do with my hands. It's not like at a computer on a keyboard. Like my entire life is like technologically oriented. I want to do something in the real world. And this is something that might be fun. I'll make you a wallet, Damien.
Cool. Yeah. A guy I know got into blacksmithing in his garage.
Yeah, same thing, same concept. I don't want to get like crazy loud and scorched my face or anything like that. So I was like leatherworking because they have a metal worker too. They have a silversmith, a clocksmith, like an check it out, The Repair Shop.
Nice.
I will definitely check that out. Yeah,
We have gone
that is very cool.
completely off the rails. Du'An's like, get me out of here.
like when you mention projects, I think is like a cheat code. I have all types of projects that I use. I got one that's called To the Point, where I did this long prompt that kind of tells Claude to get straight to the point in the way I like it. So that way, when I have specific questions, it knows how to answer. And we're just done. And then, I got a whole bunch of different projects. I think they're just great.
We should riff afterwards and talk, like, compare projects and the different kinds of things. Cause I have projects that like scraped my blog posts and helped me to like come up with new ideas for stuff based upon things that I already know. My career coach does the exact same thing. It takes all of the information of like my LinkedIn profile, all of my old blog posts. It's like, okay, you know all these things. These are the deficits. This is where you need to learn stuff. And so let me create a path for you.
I used it to lose 30 plus pounds.
What? Oh, dude. All right. I actually need to use that too. So we should talk about that. This is an entirely new episode though. All right.
Yeah. Hey, Shala, wasn't that your like Dungeons and Dragons weight loss thing?
Yeah, so there's an anime,
crazy.
like real quick, we'll stop with the tangent, but there's an anime that I love called Solo Leveling. And so I was like, let's solo level my weight loss program. And I lost 32 pounds. So that's why my face is a bit slimmer.
Well, you're looking
so
great.
Season 3 is not coming out for a while now. It's
I've been reading the books.
I got to read the manga now. Nah, you got me. Oh, damn it. All right.
I can't escape this stuff. You know,
how to build AI agents with Strands with Du'An. All right, Du'An, did you want to share your screen? Did you have a let me drop this one off.
Yeah, I have a lot.
Okay.
So I have a deck that we can go through. I have code. I'm going to share my screen and then we can kind of just go with that.
Yeah.
But I actually want to dive into code and talk about agents. But I think a great place is actually to kind of just level set. So let me know when you can see my screen.
We can see it now. It's up.
Okay, so today we're going to talk about building intelligent AI agents with Strands Agents, which is an open source Python SDK created by AWS that allows you to build agents fast in a few lines of code. The cool thing about it is that if you know AWS, we have Amazon Bedrock. So we have a bunch of different models and providers inside of Amazon Bedrock, but Strands allows you to leverage OpenAI, Claude, Gemini, without having to worry about being on AWS. And so if you're building agents now, it's actually a really cool framework that I've been having some great conversations around the people that's using it. And so for those of you that aren't familiar with agentic AI and what it is, I'm going to kind of just break it down simple. We'll go through a few slides, talk about that, then we'll talk about Strands. So when we think about an agent, right, you have at the center of it is the AI brain. That's going to be your large language model, right? And the thing about an agent is that it's able to reason. You give it a prompt, it's able to reason on what needs to happen. So it establishes a plan, like the actions to take. And once it establishes those actions to take, it takes actions on that plan. And if it needs to update, it continues reasoning until the goal is accomplished, right? So it establishes the goal, creates a plan, takes actions, and then it achieves that goal in an iterative format. Now, to do that, it uses something called tools, right? So we're looking for, what is the weather? A get weather tool, search the internet tool, search GitHub tool, right? Write in a code editor. All of these are different tools that you can add to your agents. And then another thing that an agent often has is the concept of short-term and long-term memory. Short-term memory being conversation, user, assistant, array of your conversation in a session, right? The state, all of that is going to be short-term. But long-term is to say over a long period of time, different conversations, do you remember what we discussed, right? So it needs that sort of type of short-term, long-term memory. And then you need to be able to observe your agent to understand the traces of what actions did it actually take. How long did that tool call actually take? Well, am I actually optimizing with the right model, right? Could we actually increase some speed or on cost with the models that we have? So you need that observability. Now, when we break this down in an agentic system, I mentioned that agent workflow. So that's kind of what we've already talked about. You have a user input, you have an agent application, and you have a response. Within that, you can have a human in the loop where you kind of accept the things that the agent can do, or you kind of let it go YOLO, right? Autonomously. But then we have our agent components. That's going to be your foundation model, your knowledge bases, the guardrails to say what it can and can't do, the API calls that it can make, the memory that it has access to, other agents with things like A2A, agent-to-agent communication, and then flows. Maybe you want to have a workflow or some sort of architecture with your agent. Now, once you have all that and you have your system working, I kind of mentioned the evaluation. You need to be able to evaluate your agent. Like, is it really performing the actions that I want it to take? Is it, I did this demo the other day where I had an agent run for a full hour, right? And I wanted to do a series of steps as it went through and completed each task. Well, I don't know if you ever heard the term of models and agents kind of gaming the system. Mm-hmm. I said, okay, here's the goal that you have. I want you to create a tool. Once you create the tool, document the tool, unit test the tool, and then update me, right? And then run the tool yourself. Like, you should actually make a tool call and run this tool. So like these 5 steps. Halfway through, it was at like tool call, I want to say 100. It was over 200 tool calls that happened. But at like tool call 100, the agent decided that rather than continue calling the tool and testing it itself, it's just going to write the tool and then summarize all the tools that it has done. So it said, okay, how many tools can I create within the 20 minutes that I have left? Mm-hmm. Rather than establishing my step, it establishes a new goal and kind of gamed the system, right? So how do we evaluate that that's not happening when we are deploying and building our agents? And then we need to log that, iterate and update. Once we understand and we establish those evaluations, we have the frameworks in place, we need to be able to improve and optimize our system. So that's what like a fully agentic system looks like at a high level.
You know what? Something just occurred to me, Du'An.
Yes.
I feel like, we as in the people who are doomed enough to experience the AI revolution from inside technology, like we're envisioning something that can think for itself, right? Like artificial general intelligence is kind of the North Star, I would say, for a lot of AI innovation, right?
Right.
But at the same time, what you just experienced was kind of like what a person would do to gain the outcome, right?
Yes.
And so, like, what you're saying is, no, I don't want you to be creative. I want you to do exactly what I told you, right? Like,
I built an MCP server.
Yeah.
And when I built this MCP server, it's called the NBA Stats MCP server. I got a son that plays basketball, and I built this MCP server so we can sit down and look at a whole bunch of stats for the NBA using the Strands agents, right? Mm-hmm. So I said, you know what? I'm going to try to use a smaller model. So I was using OpenAI's GPT-5 Mini, trying to save on and optimize on cost. Well, I don't know if you know anything about MCP, but it kind of gives an agent the a standardized way to communicate with tools that are in a collection, right?
Yep,
so you have a server collection of tools. Well,
you talked about it the last time you were here.
Yes. Yeah. And so the agent can actually call and make a series of tool calls to solve a problem. Say, I need to make these 4 tool calls. That's the reason and capabilities. And each one of these 4 tool calls is going to help me solve the problem. Well, I said, okay, who's the leading scorer this year? It came back, told me the leading scorer. I said, wow, Luka is averaging over 40 points in the first 6 games. I'm like, he's crushing it. I was like, okay, over the last 15 years, how many players have done that? So it had to go back and look at all these stats. So it started asking me, okay, are you talking about regular season? Are you talking about from 2010 or 2011? Just ask me all these questions, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm going through this game. So we keep doing it. It said, okay, give me a few minutes and I'm going to go look it up. It goes and does that. No tool calls. It was done. Right. So I'm like, okay, he's just sitting there. Nothing happened. I said, did you look it up? He said, yeah, give me a few more minutes. I'm still looking at it. I said, wait a minute. Okay. I said, okay. And I'm like, I don't see any tool calls. Are you really looking this up? He said, yeah, you got me in a really computational task. I need about 5 to 10 minutes to really look this up, and then I'll get back to you.
Oh my God.
Tool calls, and we went through this process, and it was just hilarious to watch. I even showed my wife. She thought it was funny. She don't care nothing about this stuff, but she was just like an employee.
You were getting bullshitted by a robot.
And it sounded like it did it like with this whole chest too. Where like, no, I'm working on it. I promise.
Yeah. Right after I have this smoke break, I'll get right back to it.
But I know people like that. Wait,
yes,
right.
Exactly. But to someone that I would say isn't familiar with these systems, isn't familiar with AI, they may sit there and wait, right? And really think there's something happening. But when you invoke the agent and that response comes back, there's nothing happening in the background. I built the system. Now you can build a system where it may go off and do something, and you can query or poll to see, the status. But in this design, once I invoked it, it was done. So
interesting.
Yeah. But moving on.
So this is how to make a child and make sure that it behaves when you tell it to do something, but for AI, yeah.
It's kind of making me think back to like the most that I'm doing right now is I have unleashed it in my personal sandbox, automated gaslighting, where I've been letting it perform my Git commands for me, like to my repo. That's been a fun time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really interesting thing. I got stories on that. We'll talk about that later. Yeah. When it comes to what we've been discussing, we talked about the overview of agentic systems and agents. Strands agents, I mentioned, allows you to build agents in a few lines of code, right? It's open source, Python SDK that anyone can get started now. It supports MCP and A2A. If you look, I have 3 lines of code and I have an agent. 3 lines of code. Now, from Strands, import agent, that's the agent. We instantiate the agent, right? And then from there, we can pass in a prompt and invoke the agent. In another line of code, I can import community tools. So there's a bunch of community tools, and I'll kind of discuss those here. But in another line of code, when I instantiate the agent, I can just pass in that tool. And then now this agent has tool capabilities as well, right? In just 4 lines of code. So it allows us to do some really powerful things when it comes to these agents. Now, I mentioned that it's model agnostic, right? Of course, we support Amazon Bedrock natively out the box. It works with Claude Sonnet 4, right? But you can use OpenAI, you can use Light LLM. I run models locally with Olama using Strands, and you can really get a lot done on a really small model if you know what you're trying to accomplish. And that's going to be free, right? It's open source agentic framework and local models running on my laptop. So there's no inference costs on that. Now, Strands has pre-built tools. This is something I mentioned here a few moments ago. In one more line of code, I can import the current time HTTP request. So now we can search the web, and we have this line here, passing in our list of tools to our agents. Now our agents knows that it has tool capabilities. And then from there, I can pass in a prompt, and then we can invoke the agent, and it can go off and do its thing. With another few lines of code, we can actually create our own custom tools. And so here I created a Hello World tool just by using the tool decorator. I pass this tool in. And if you know anything about MCP, when you create the decorator for MCP tool, that doc string gets passed into the agent so the agent knows how to use the tool. This tool decorated inside of Strands does the same thing, so the agent recognizes what the tool capabilities are and how to use it. It also supports MCP, something I mentioned before. Here we're using the AWS documentation MCP server. We're passing this in from pip with UVX. This initializes, and then from there, we can call and start asking questions about the AWS documentation. It also supports A2A, agent-to-agent communication. So now when these agents need to communicate, they all have different capabilities, different tools, different features. Now, out of the box natively, you can start connecting agents with Strands and then do some really powerful agent-to-agent communication in a few lines of code again. Now, there is a repo at the end of this presentation, which we're almost to the end. I do have a landing page that you can go to. I'll give you the link. You can go to that landing page. It has all of these resources along with samples. So you can get started, build your own agents. We have restaurant assistants, scrum masters, and this list just kind of keeps going and going and going. And so if you have some idea from agents for agents that you built, this is open source. Feel free to do a PR, and maybe you can get your agent that you built loaded into the Strands repo or feature, right? Because it is open source. Now, we're talking about building agents, running them on our laptop. That's all fun. But when we're in enterprise and we're in production, we have customers and we need to scale. How do we actually do that? So this year, we've announced in preview Agent Core, which allows you to build those production-ready AI agents and deploy them to AWS. Now, the thing, just like Strands, is kind of model agnostic. Agent Core is framework agnostic, right? As well as model agnostic. So if you're using LangGraph, if you're using Crew AI, you're using any of those agentic frameworks and you need somewhere to host them, we have ways to do that within Agent Core. First, what does your agent need? Your agent needs a secure runtime with isolated environments. That's going to be Agent Core runtime. We have Agent Core Gateway for you to host MCP servers that are provided with an open API schema. You can put your open API schema right behind Agent Core Gateway, and then put that gateway in front of those, and you have an MCP server. Another thing I want to call out with Agent Core Runtime is that it also supports MCP. So if you already have an MCP server loaded on your laptop, you can actually deploy that to runtime, use the /MCP, and start connecting with that MCP server inside of AWS, Amazon Bedrock Agent Core Runtime. There's other features and capabilities. One thing that I want to call out is going to be observability, which is as well as memory. When you are deploying these agents, I mentioned from the beginning, you need observability, right? To know let's say from the start to the end, what tools are being called, right? What is the milliseconds in between each step or each span within that trace? How do you view that, right? How do you cost optimize and evaluate? This is something that GenAI observability inside of Agent Core offers. While we're here, I'll kind of pause, and if you all have questions before I move on.
Well, I have general questions at the end of it on some of the things that you said previously. I don't want to derail this,
Okay.
but I will go back a couple of slides from this later on.
Okay, cool.
So just a quick question. Yes. Observability is kind of top of mind for me, just because I was having some observability conversations earlier today at my day job. So is this kind of bundled in the pricing of the service, or is it, because it's probably using CloudWatch or something like that, right? Is it all kind of bundled together as a combined service?
There's pricing depending on what you use, right? So
okay.
You have to check the AWS pricing calculator, but the pricing is kind of broke up like we know on AWS. So this isn't all a bundle service. But when it comes to GenAI observability, this is inside of CloudWatch. So let's take a step back. Let's say you deploy an agent with runtime. Mm-hmm. You're gonna have your traces inside of GenAI observability. You can view your sessions. You can view your agent, right? To understand what's the traces, what is the spans within that trace, to see that full visibility. Now, inside of the runtime, you can go into your CloudWatch logs to actually see, okay, at each step, just like in Lambda, you can see everything that's happening within that agent inside of the CloudWatch log group.
Cool. So that just logs it automatically to the log stream.
To the log stream, because with runtime, it's similar to Lambda, but the difference between Lambda is what, 15 minutes for a long running task.
Yep.
Agent core runtime, you can get up to 8 hours. Right. So if you're trying to run some long running AI workloads, you can get up to eight hours for runtime.
Very cool. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. All right. So if you're going to reInvent 2025, before we hop into some code, I do have 2 sessions at reInvent. If you're there, come check me out. I'll be speaking on Agent Core at both of them. The first is going to be a a code talk, where we're going to talk through a code sample and build and deploy AI agents using Kiro and Amazon Bedrock Agent Core. Come through. We're going to have a great time, and we got a pretty cool demo, and we're going to dive in deep at the 300 level with some code. The next talk is going to be with Datadog, where we're going to be talking about observability. So we're going to build an agent. You're going to see how this works, but then you're going to really understand how to get granular observability within that agent. So the things that a lot of us care about, of once we deploy that agent, how do we know what's actually happening? How do we observe it? How do we evaluate it? And how do we optimize on it? And this is what this talk is going to be all about.
Oh, and you're doing it with Kunal too.
Yes.
Awesome. I love Kunal.
Together again.
He's a great guy.
Yes. All right. So some resources. I will drop this link. I will drop this link here in the chat, in the comments. Let's see. I'll put it here if it allows me to drop it. So this link will take you to a CloudFront page that I built just for you all.
Aww.
Oh, nice. Put it, Du'An, put it in the private chat, and then I'll send it out. I don't think, I think admins are allowed to send out links, but presenters are not.
Okay. I'll put it in the private chat. There you go. But if you go here, and
Awesome.
if you all want to scan it with your phone, if you're on your computer, you can. Everything's there. Feel free to check this out. And if you have questions, reach out to me. And yeah, that was a high-level overview of everything we discussed.
Awesome. Okay. So when right at the very beginning of it, you said that you were setting up the system to run, and it ran. You had it run for an hour, and it was, and you said that it paused, did the introspection stuff, and all. From a price point perspective, if you're running something like this for an hour, like what kind of like token consumption rates are we talking about here? How much would that cost the average person?
Yeah, so in that scenario, I was using the cloud models, and I adjusted they have what you call a beta parameter, where I could change the context inside of Bedrock to 1 million tokens. So the context that I could input to the model was 1 million tokens.
Okay.
The cost per million tokens on something like Sonnet 4 is going to be, I think, $3 on the input, $15 on the output. Right.
Oh, okay.
And so in that scenario, I think I had a total of 400,000 something tokens.
So you didn't even consume $10.
Yeah, I didn't even consume $10 because you have to think about it. It wasn't token like intensive. The tools that it was building were maybe 50 lines of code, right? It wasn't that token extensive. It was more so compute intensive, from the agent making different turns and you know what I mean? So it wasn't that much. For example, and I can share my screen now.
Okay. Oh, add to stage.
And I guess we'll go right into it. I have a bunch of different agents, but one agent that I'm working on that I'm kind of proud about is I have this book writing agent. right?
Are you writing a book?
I wrote 2 books with my agent. And so this book is called 10 Steps to Being Successful in Tech.
Nice.
In this book, if we go into the system and we actually look it up, this book is about 9 chapters. Let me see if I can find the total conclusion, the introduction of how much this book actually, the journal. So if we look at this book, the complete book was about 18,000 words.
18,000 words. Yep.
From the complete book from beginning to end. Now, the thing about this, right, is that I have multiple agents within this system. So although it's 18,000 words, that's the end result. I have several agents in this system, right? Because if we come, I have an entire orchestrated system. So I have a research agent. I have an agent to complete the outline. I have multiple agents in here. So that 18,000 tokens was actually like 1 million tokens when it was all said.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay. Yep.
But
And so like,
go ahead.
because that's making me think. So like different chats that I've been having in discussions. So are you finding it better to have the multiple agents? So like an agent focuses on one job versus trying to have an agent do all the things?
So let me pull this up real quick and let's actually think through this, because if we're in here, of course I got to go through. If we're talking AI, we have to go through a Scholar Draw. So if we have an LLM, right, and you all have used Claude, you've used ChatGPT, and it has this context. So all of the data that goes in here, right, the more data that you put in here, the more it's going to have to focus on the next thing. So data comes in here, then it has to focus on this point. Then it has to focus on this point. Then it has to put all this together and get you your output.
Yeah.
Right? By the time you get to your output, is it going to be the best result? Like, how often have you asked, like, for instance, I have this agent that I figured you all would care about. I have this content pipeline. And if we look at, let me pull this up in my browser. Is it up? Where are you at? It didn't come up. Let's see. Open.
I'm impressed with you navigating between screens. Like me, it would be a hot mess.
Oh no, I do this all day. All right, so I have this content pipeline, which is not rendering here. Of course, it's not rendering because we're live, but I have this content pipeline, so I'll just pull it up the easy way, the old-fashioned way. But if you look at this, for this content pipeline, if we can make this big enough, I have multiple agents coming in here. So I have a video file, which can be a video that comes in. I need this video transcribed. So the first thing my agent orchestrates in this system, the first agent will send this to the Whisper model to transcribe the transcript. Now, once the transcript is transcribed, now I need to pre-process it, because if you use the Whisper model, it's going to have like just one long congruent piece of text, but it's going to not spell my name right. It may miss topics, may miss key points. It may miss punctuation. It may miss all of these things. So what I do is I take this and I send it through a pre-processor that has some real AI along with, I'm using Haiku in 4.5 to go in and say, okay, once we do the real AI to pre-process it and kind of clean it up, now we're going to structure it to make sure that it reads the way I want it to read. You know what I mean? It flows the way I want it to flow. Each one of these models within this system is optimized with its own system prompt to perform that task very well. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, it's giving me, at the end of the day, AI is created by humans, right? And it's for the most part, created in our image. And when you think about it, even as humans, even though we all the time say like, oh, you know, I'm a good multitasker or I'm multitasking, we're really not built for multitasking.
Right.
No,
You're
we
just half
round robin
doing
at
a lot of
scale.
things.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's the same thing with the agents where it's like, let me, you know, build you to focus on this one thing and be real good at it, like you're saying. And it comes out a lot better that way.
So
how do you get all these different agents to reconcile the final product?
Good question. Good question. So we come over to the code, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the point, and we can actually see it in here. That's the point of my orchestrator. That's the whole point of the orchestrator. So I'm doing a few different things. The orchestrator kind of keeps and glues everything together, right? It has a structure, but one of the things that I use is Pydantic. So I'll create a class. And so when it outputs, it's not just following the outputs from each of these, it's going to send it back in the class structure. So now it's say, okay, title, it'll be the title. Description, it'll be the description. So you know Pydantic, where you can create a class and an object, each one of these have their own object, right? And so when this object comes back to this agent, now all this agent has to do is take that object, the template is in the system prompt, and just paste that object in the portion of the system prompt to output the way I want it. You get what I mean? So everything has like a confined constraint that it's kind of hard not to follow because I'm not giving it more than what it's supposed to do. We're not going outside of the simple. Like I like to build agents that do one thing well.
Right.
It doesn't matter how many tools it has. It's more so focused on, does it do that thing well and have the tool that it needs and only the tools that it needs to do that thing well? Like, don't confuse it. Don't let it overthink. And then once you get it there, can I optimize on costs? Like, can I use a smaller model, right? Can we do the same thing with a smaller model? And that's the way I kind of approach it.
I like that because something I've been diving into these past couple of weeks is really digging into. So I'm starting like conversations, but we'll get into that later. Where I'm diving deep into conversations with folks about actually paying attention to the ROI of building different AI agents and who's actually seeing the value and if there's even value there in the first place. And who's getting that value?
NVIDIA is.
They're definitely winning, but
yeah.
All right. So this is something I think about when we talk about building agents. We're gonna like execute some code in a minute, but we've been writing code to solve problems for a long time, right? Code has been the way to solve problems, I think, for 50, 60 years. We've been writing code to solve problems. And so the code to solve those problems is, I would say, a conditional system. If this, then that. The next system that we're building with agents is a system that is, I would say, has some intelligence in it to go outside of the just if this, then that, where we have the confined constraints, but to actually think about if this, then that, and why.
Right.
You know what I mean? And help us build intelligently and build these systems in a way that we can scale. Because when I'm showing you different agents, but each one of these agents have an underlying framework. They all have like a structured component. And to me, when I think about an agent, the system prompt, the memory, the tools live outside of the agent. So really, this is just plug and play. Like all of these can really be the same template, and I just plug in a different system prompt, plug in different tools, and it goes off and does this task.
Yeah.
That's where I think we'll get to.
So what you've created is effectively functions within traditional software, but instead of defining a function, right? Like you assign an agent to that function.
Because they're tools, right? So if we look at the code, they're tools. So that I mentioned during the presentation, agents as tools. Let me see if I can find the actual source code. So inside of my source code, I have my Here's my pipeline. And let me find my different agents. So here's one agent here. This is my orchestration agent, right? And you can see generate all content is one tool. This generate all content will call my other agents, because if we go in my tools folder, right, content generator, I have this is to initialize all my agents here, right? So we have a YouTube agent, we have a LinkedIn agent here, and then we have a Twitter agent here. And all of these, what I'm highlighting here, have their own session. So they maintain their own conversations. So each one of these agents are honestly on their own. I can invoke these agents separately. I just plugged them and built them into this system. But inside of here, I could just import one of these agents and use it on its own, right? So if I just want to focus on YouTube content optimization, I have this agent here that has its own system prompt that I could use, right? I just build them all behind this orchestrator to orchestrate all of these different agents.
Very cool.
And so again, I built a class for models, right? So I have a Strands agents template where you can ask for what you can enter. I want to build this Strands agent, or I want to build this agent. What's the most cost-effective way to do it? And so the way I did that to make it be able to answer those questions is I created these models, and then I created a config. So we go into my Strands agents template here. I have this tool for model selector. So now the agent is able to recognize the different costs and give you guidance as it builds the agent, because inside of here, I have MCP servers for Strands to be able to build an agent, and an MCP server to deploy the agent to Agent Core. So now you can build a cost optimized agent and deploy it to Agent Core. And all of this is just from the prompt.
I'm getting that turtles all the way down feeling that we all had, like, 15 to 20 years ago when we were talking about virtualization. It's just more VMs.
Yeah.
So let's do this. So I like to get in here in code. So we'll just create let's see where we're at. Let's go inside of source. And we'll do that. Clear. Let's create a Python file called main. All right, so inside of main, let's open that up. We're going to build our first agent. So we'll go from Strands, import agent. And like I mentioned before, we'll take our agent and we'll just use Bedrock for that. And then we'll create a while loop, while true, import our prompt. And if prompt equal exit, we'll break. Here's our response. And we'll just print the message. Actually, we'll just do agent. We'll just do agent, and we'll just enter the prompt. So this is what we'll do. So we're coming through here, and we have our input, we have our prompt, and we're going to run this code. So Python main, we'll say hi. And already we have an agent going. Like, do you see? And we can just continue having a conversation. The context is all being stored within the agent, because one of the things I didn't mention, and the reason why I'm showing this, is there's something called an event loop. So if I come over here to Strands and we actually look at the agent, let's go to the user guide. Let's go to the agent loop. It handles, remember I mentioned the reasoning capabilities of a model and how an agent is able to reason, plan, act, and achieve that goal, right? It's able to do all of that. Strands handles all of that for you. So when you invoke the agent, it'll send it to the prompt to the model the response will come back and it will maintain that conversation. So if it needs to make a tool call, it's going to maintain those tool call and responses as well within the agent, within the event loop. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so this makes it a really powerful framework, because if we come back in here and I'm going to exit and we'll enter Python, and I'll make this larger, because now what we can actually do is if I just do from Strands, import agent, and we take an agent, and I say, let's go response equal agent, and I just say hello. Now we can come in here and we can actually see things like the metrics, right? And so now what I could do, and if you all can see this, what I do now, since the metrics is all within the agent, the event loop, I can actually track, okay, what was the total input tokens? What was the total output tokens? What was the total tokens? And then I could do my own math and evaluate how much did this actually cost? How many turns did it take? How many tool calls was it? All of this is within the agent, and I can actually do my own evaluation when I'm writing the book. So when the book is done, now I could take all the results from my agents and then calculate them in my own to know how much it actually cost me and where could I maybe save costs, right? Am I making too many tool calls? That's something with observability that I give you that visualization as well, but I'm able to do it within my code.
Nice.
So we have a couple of extremely important questions from the audience.
Yes.
Dee Heber is asking, she's one of the AWS heroes, actually. So should
Danielle.
we be preferring? Yeah. So should we be preferring Agent Core and or Strands over Bedrock agents?
It all depends on the flexibility, right? If you are using OpenAI or another provider, right, and you need that flexibility, Strands is a excellent choice, right? If you're using Crew AI, if you're using Lane Graph or some other framework, then you can deploy those agents to AWS inside of Amazon Bedrock Agent Core, right? Runtime. So it all depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If you're using Amazon Bedrock agents now, and it's I would say meeting your needs, then continue using it. But if you're, like I mentioned, using another framework or you need more flexibility, then you can think about Strands and Agent Core.
Awesome. Okay. The other very important question is your keyboard. What type of keyboard and what flavor switches are you using?
You know what? I buy keyboards from looks. Don't judge me. I'm not into keyboard to know what's and stuff. But here's my keyboard. The cool thing about this keyboard is I spoke at Cloud Code, and so I got these keycaps from Cloud Code. So I just kind of put them on there.
Nice.
But to know what type of keys and switches, yeah, never been that into it like that. I just see it, like it. It's good. I use it. You know, like it's like somebody that likes sneakers but don't really be into sneakers. That's how I am about keyboards.
I couldn't tell you what switches I'm using either. I know people that are like, oh, I got to use the candy apple red, blibbity blabbity, whatever. Things. I'm like, oh, okay.
5 below is crazy, by the way, John.
I've always wanted to be a keyboard person, you know, like, but I just don't have the capacity for it. But I admire the very cool keyboards I've seen.
Yes.
Can I ask another question that someone out there may be wondering? So one thing I'm wondering, and maybe we could get into it later or whatever, but I was just wondering if you have any tips or resources for learning about MCP servers, as well as like getting started with creating agents for someone who is just like, I really want to do this, but maybe they just haven't started yet and trying to find a good launch off place.
Yeah. When it comes to MCP servers, I'll go to Anthropic's documentation. Okay, I'll tell you the way I learned MCP.
Cool.
It may not be the best approach. The first thing I went to is the Anthropic's Model Context Protocol blog, right? So I'll pull that up. I went here, right? So it was launched about a year ago, right? We're almost at a year.
Wow. Yeah.
Launched, right? And it's taken off ever since. So read this, and then there's a model context protocol site, model context protocol.io. And this, I read this. This goes through everything when it comes to MCP. The thing about going through this is that if you have Cloud Code, it will show you how to connect to install a local Cloud Code desktop to your system, and then you can start connecting to MCP servers on your desktop on your system. But when I first did it, we didn't have remote MCP servers, but now with Cloud Code, let's say, or with Cloud desktop would be not Cloud Code, but you can use it in Cloud Code. But Cloud desktop, you can use local MCP servers, but even on Cloud.ai, you can use remote MCP servers. And so this is where you connect to it through an MCP server via HTTP, and then you can integrate it that way, right?
Nice.
I'm of the idea of building my own MCP servers or using one that I would say I trust. I don't just plug them. I know a lot of people hey, they got MCP server for this and they plug it into the. I don't do that. I kind of just build it on my own. Even if I just vibe code it, I know it works because I understand how to write software. I just don't mind using AI to do it. So yeah, that's the way I would approach MCP servers. When it comes to building agents, there's a couple blogs that I would say I would read. So there's building effective agents, which is an Anthropic blog. I think it's building effective AI agents. I will read this blog. This blog is really good. It's really good. OpenAI has one as well, but to me, this kind of is like the de facto when it comes to just understanding agents. And then when it comes to deploying the repo, where's it at? Where's my, do I still have it up? I think I put it in the chat. Where's it at? Here it is. So if you go here to this site here, I have a bunch of resources in here, but there is a Strands agent samples. There's tutorials in here that you can spin up. There's fundamentals. There's a multi-agent system. There's a deployment. And then there's integrations and samples. And these are the samples that I mentioned before. This list is still growing, but you can go through here. You can look at the code, see how the agents are built, and then you can start building yourself. And if you want to get started with Agent Core, there's an Agent Core samples as well. And this has a bunch of use cases, samples, and integrations and tutorials when it comes to deploying those agents to AWS. So this is how I actually learn. I don't really watch courses anymore. I kind of just build. And with MCP,
I don't have the capacity anymore the older I get.
Yeah, time is a valuable resource.
Time is a valuable resource. But going back to MCP, I read the blog, and then I went to the MCP SDK. Is there SDK? Yeah, the MCP Python SDK. I cloned this locally, right? On the MCP website, there's an LLMs.txt. Let me see, where's it at? Documentation, integrating other MCP servers. Somewhere in here, there's an LLM.txt. Or maybe they don't have it anymore. But this LLM.txt file, what you could actually do, here it is right here. This file, you copy this file, you save it as a text file, and you have Cloud Code Cursor or something, analyze it, and show you how to build MCP. So this is actually how I learned how to build MCP servers. I read the blog, read the documentation. I cloned the repo, analyzed the code, and then I used this file, gave it to an LLM, and I just had it build different MCP servers so I can understand how it worked, right? And actually really dive into it. But this is actually what they recommend, when, especially when it was first built, is you give a model and it gives it all the context it needs to understand how to build an MCP server. And so this is how I learned how to build it. And I can put all these in the chat if you all want to share them out.
Already did.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you can use this to bootstrap your MCP agents. That's actually pretty cool. I like that.
Is there anything that can be terraformed? Y'all know me. Like, y'all already know.
I
Terra
love
or terror?
Terror form.
Yes, terror form is a real thing.
I mean, if you're deploying to the cloud, right? If you're deploying to the cloud or if you're deploying something. But when it comes to agents, I mean, all of this is, it's pretty much, for me, it's not really that hard. Like, check this out. Streamlit. Let me see, source, actually, which Python. All right, we're here, Streamlit. I can't even type. Run app.py. And of course, it's in another browser. So I built this just for you all. I built this agent. I like to transcribe videos and do things with videos, but this repo is available. I had to record this. Actually, let me do another one. That's probably not a good video, but I'll find a video here and maybe I have one. Okay, so I had this video where it wants me to do a smaller file. Okay.
That was with friend of the show, Keith Townsend, I guess.
Yeah, that's our friend Keith. CTO. I saw that and I was like, oh yeah, that's Keith stuff.
Yeah, I did interviewing.
Nice.
It's coming out soon. Okay, let's see if I can use this.
I just hung out with him in Orlando for Tech Exchange.
Okay, so it's only gonna let me use a file that's 200 megs. All right, so we'll start this transcription. Right, and so I'm using, again, the Open Whisper. So Open Whisper, GitHub. So this is an open source model that you can use to transcribe and do a bunch of cool things with audio, right? And this is a model, and it has a different capabilities and features, but essentially what you can do is install this via pip. And if you have video that you want to transcribe or audio or something, you can use this, right? It even includes timestamps or whatever. It'll go through line by line, add timestamps, all of that. And depending on the size and capabilities of your system, you can really push it to the max, right? So this is open source.
Use that as a subtitle file then.
Subtitle file, right? But to take it further, like in this example, let me see. In this example, I transcribed it, but now that I have it transcribed, I could actually start chatting with it, right? I could select my model. Let's say I want to use
chat with your video. I like that.
Yeah, so I could start asking questions about it. You know, I really don't want to use this video. I want to use something else. So let me see if I got a transcript. I think I have a transcript from me, and I think I have a transcript that I can use. But
this is really cool.
Yeah, I need this. So while you're doing that, does it using this tool, this Whisper, does it keep like everything local? Is it going out to the interwebs or anything?
Good question. Check this out.
Oh, you're running that local on Olama.
Yes, if it works. There it is. So this is 3.1. We're running local. I have a video loaded. So this CTO advisor transcript is loaded and it's not working. It's trying to use GPT in this one. So I need to
watching.
This is
Python error as a service.
Right. I need to test it with Olama, but if we go back to Anthropic, I know that works. We should be good. It still doesn't work. Oh man.
It's because we're watching. That's all.
You didn't sacrifice a chicken today, man.
Yeah.
The demo gods didn't like it.
The demo guys didn't like it. It wants me to use this other video. So I guess I'm gonna have to use the other video that I really didn't want to use. So let me find the other video real quick.
Hey, this is a family friendly show here, Du'An.
You know what?
No. Let me see if I can find my recents.
He's not playing. He's on a mission. He's like, no time for jokes.
So this video should work. There we go. We got a video. Look at that.
Nice.
All right, let's transcribe it. So it's transcribing the video. It takes a few minutes. If we go over here and we ask about the video, let's initialize Claude. Boom. Hi. I always like to start with hi, just to see if they're there, see if they're sleeping. And
you know, I like being nice. I tell it hello, ask it like, how are you doing?
All right, so it says, from what I can see about the transcript, this video appears to be about the NBA information. Yeah, so I made a video about the MCP server. Okay, break it down.
Yeah, see, I need this one sometimes, especially if I could keep it local, where sometimes, you know, meeting with people and I need stuff to be drawn out in crayon for me to make it make sense.
All right, so this is what I was talking about, my NBA MCP. So I just made a quick video where I'm discussing it. All right, now if we go to SEO optimization, I don't know what I want to do. NBA MCP server. MCP AI agents. Generate an SEO strategy. And so this is actually on GitHub. I got to fix it so it works with Olama. And then we can go through there. Like I vibe coded the front end. I'm not going to lie. Like back end is my thing. But front end, I will use an agent in a minute to just vibe code with demo front end. You know, I'm not a front end developer, but if I need something for a demo, that's what I do.
I am definitely going to be playing with this. And we have a metric ton of links that we are going to be putting into the show notes for everybody to watch after this so they know where to get to, including QR codes, all of the links. This has been amazing. We are a little bit over time, but this is fabulous. I can do this all night.
I could too. I know we're over time. My book writing agent, if you all, I want to make the book public so you all can read it. But my book writing agent, I think, is the one that I want to maybe come back or just share or discuss in the future. But basically, this book writing system, I can just come in here and say, let me find the quick guide. Let's see. This is the book writing system. I got a quick guide to pass in a prompt. And yeah, this is the one I want to come back and see. I got a prompt to actually pass this in to make this easier. But this is the one I want to come back. And I think I'll have it completely done because what I did, and let's talk about the architecture because I think that's important. What I actually did with this system is this system actually takes my YouTube videos. So I took all my YouTube videos and put them in a RAG database. And so when I pass in a prompt or an idea for a book, it's actually going to retrieve all of my YouTube videos as the content that is going to use to write the book. Does that make sense?
Oh,
yep.
So if we go in here and actually look at the book, and I'll just show you some of it. My name is, and I'll make this bigger. This book is completely from my YouTube videos and conversations I've had with people.
Nice.
Right. And the funny thing is GPT, Sam Altman said GPT 5.1 has got rid of the, what is the M dash or whatever that everybody talks about. Yeah. I said, I'll put it to the test. this book took 4 hours for the agent to finish writing. This took 4 hours for my multi-agent system to do. And as you can see, from the beginning, there's an in dash, right? And I made all the models GPT 5.1. But this book is, it's pretty cool for just the first draft. And I'm just interested to see how I can optimize on this and improve it. But yeah, this is some of the things that are possible when people talk about writing blogs. Like I've gone beyond that. This is an entire book from beginning to end. The story flows. If we look at the table of contents for the book, I'll give you a high level, then I'll let you all go because I know I could do this all day.
But, you know what? The M dash has gotten way too much guff. I use like that thing.
Dashes.
Yes, thank you. I use that like all the time and now I feel like every time I use it, I'm like, does everybody think I'm AI now? I don't know why M dashes got tagged as the obvious trigger for, oh, this is clearly AI. Now
that
I feel
and emojis.
Yeah.
Oh, I use emojis all the time because I'm 48 years old and I don't give a shit.
Is that the reason?
That's exactly the reason.
I thought it was because you didn't know how to spell words good.
That's funny.
Hey, Du'An, do you know Damian Burks by chance?
Yeah, I know Damian.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I was gonna say you guys would probably make a good like superpower team. So yeah.
He's building too. He's building stuff too.
Oh yeah, he's doing all of this from like the security side. He's got. I believe he's also got a book going too. He's a very prolific creator.
Nice. Yeah. So here it is, like just a high level. The book, first chapter: mindset and identity, vision and goals, learning engine, certs and skills, project, brand and visibility, professional habit, mentor outreach, opportunity, skills, and hustle and focus. And so it like broke lid. I think it's pretty good just from the blogs and things that I've written. I think what I've been able to do with this in the writing style, I was like impressed for it to be a draft by AI from my content. So yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
That's very cool.
And did it write it in like your vibe and your style? Like did you tell it to like take a look at my writing samples and write as if you were me?
So it analyzed my YouTube video, so it actually used like my tone and my
you didn't use writing samples too?
I didn't have to.
Okay.
I didn't have to.
He transcribed it.
Nice.
Yeah, everything's transcribed, and so when I have another system here that cleans up that I mentioned before, my content pipeline, my preprocessor, right? It cleans up all my code. So whenever I put it through this preprocessor here, it's going to get rid of the filler words and everything. And so now it's going to sound a lot more like me, right? It's going to sound like congruent sentences that, flow.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that our audience has a lot of stuff to play with as a result of this episode.
Yeah.
This is fantastic stuff, Du'An.
Thank you all for having me on. I tried to cover a broad basis, and all of that, but
yeah, I think you did. You definitely got it covered.
Yeah. And we've had you on twice this year, so that's amazing. That is,
appreciate it.
We need to shoot for 3 in 26, man. Taking it back to the basketball, shoot for 3.
So
we'll be in the cloud. These agents will be deployed. Yeah.
Right on.
we have a little side Discord V Brown Bag Slack that we all chat in, and it's been nonstop popping off with ideas of stuff that we can do with this kind of stuff. So really, really thank you for coming on and sharing your knowledge with us. This was fantastic.
Yes, thank you, Du'An.
No problem.
Cool.
Thank you.
And Shala and I are going to see you in Vegas in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
It's gonna be a good time.
All right. Well, we need to take some time to find the three of us, do the obligatory selfie, but then also have like a nice coffee or something too, and just chat.
Yes.
Cool. All right, folks. Well, thank you. Oh, the winner of tonight's AWS credits, I did the random roll. It is Kobina Arthur. Congratulations over on LinkedIn. One, because it was randomly assigned, but two, automated gaslighting was hilarious. So
It was.
good job to you, Kobina. And we won't see you next week because it is the US Thanksgiving. And then we probably won't see you the week after because I haven't found anybody. And 2/3 of the team will be in Vegas for AWS reInvent. So we will see you the second week in December with our next presenter.
And I guess if you really, really want to like come on the show, I can ride solo with you. Just go to vbrownbag.com and do the sign up.
That's right. We can get somebody in there if you want to talk on reInvent week, and then at some point afterwards we will do the reInvent recap episode where we talk about all the things that happened at reInvent.
Nice.
All right. Once again, Du'An, thank you so much for coming on. We will see you soon, and to everybody else, we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
Bye.
Thanks, y'all.
Peace.
Bye.